Hey there. Before we start this episode, I wanted to jump into your ears straight away and let you know how you can support us best with this podcast so we can keep this going. So the most important thing that when you have listened to this episode would be share. Spread the word, drop our name, drop us in the conversation. If you see a question popping up somewhere, say, the Damn Parenting Ladies, they have an episode on this. Pop the episodes out. Get us into the conversation of the communities. This is the best way to support Eva and me. And give us a like on Spotify. Give us a follow. Jump over to Instagram, Damn Parenting Podcast. Make sure that you spread the word about what you like, why you like the episodes, and that you spread the knowledge that we are putting out there so it can be heard and received by everyone who needs to hear this. And this is what I just wanted to drop with you before now you can enjoy them chat or an expert episode. So let's see what's going to be on. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Damn Parenting, your English-speaking parenting podcast from Amsterdam. We are your hosts, Maren and
Eva.
This is another DAMChats. Today, we picked up a topic that most parents go through when they introduce it, and then they let go of it, and then they deal with the aftermath. We are talking the magic P pacifiers.
The magic P? Wow, I've never heard that before.
It was a magic tool in my household. So, yeah,
magic P.
Pacifiers. The pacifier, a big topic. There's lots of opinions out there. There's little research out there. And Eva, of course, did some digging into this research. Can you tell us what you found out about the magic pacifier?
So this is a topic that I really would have liked to get a professional in to discuss. And it was something I was hoping our pediatric dentist would actually talk about. But she herself was even like, well, it's not really my angle. And so I kind of thought, okay, let me kind of just look into it. So pacifiers, the Dutch word is Spain. I think in America, they might call it loveys or something. There's dummies. There's all these different names to discuss what a pacifier is. A lot of parents are going to be like, no, I don't want to have a pacifier when I have my baby because of that transition of removing it, and you hear all the nightmares. Actually, there are some research that says pacifiers can be used at nap time and bedtime as it lowers the risk of sudden infant death syndrome. It's potentially also helps children digest food better as well. So that can also reduce any reflux and colic that might actually build up in a baby, should I say, a very small baby. So there are different ways and contributes that people say, okay, this is a good reason to have it. A lot of people don't want to take it because they don't want to go down that alleyway. And the other thing is, most people, our daycare, one of the dentists we saw, and even the American Academy of Pediatrics and a lot of other pediatric groups around the world recommends to remove the binky, the pacifier, the lovey, whatever it is, at around 1 year of age.
We passed that stage.
I think most people do, but the whole idea was we were told in different ways why. And one of the reasons was orally. So for the dentist, they did say that can actually change the structure of the gums and the mouth. It could also lead to more dependence on it because it's actually a transitional object. So it's for people, or for when babies are kind of finding it more relaxing, and it's the motion within the child that it actually helps calm them down and it helps regulate themselves. And so it's relieving the stress and helping them cope with any new challenges or scenery or whatever might be going on around them, really. So that's why we were like, okay, I think this could be a good topic for us because there's so many people asking out there, how'd you get rid of it? Like, how did you stop it? What is going on? And my phone pinged earlier. It was an image that immediately came up and just kind of slapped me in the face of, oh, I remember that journey. And it really is a journey because you really are having to plan for this moment.
It is, yeah. Well, the question itself, do we even want to introduce a pacifier? Because a lot of parents think, oh, what do we have to get for the baby? Like, this is what babies have. They have a stroller, they have this, they have that, they have a pacifier, which is not true for every baby. I mean, not every baby will accept a pacifier. I've heard of stories where the parents really wanted to try to help the baby calm down because they had a baby that was very agitated and very sensitive. And then the baby just said, nope, not with me. My daughter, on the other hand, she took it right away. I think, I would have to go back into our pictures to see when we introduced it, but it was very early. It was within the first 3 weeks, definitely, where we introduced it, and she took it, and she also didn't have any confusion, because this is also another topic that comes up then. Usually when breastfeeding is not going so well, then you read, like, you take a look, okay, what are the reasons? And a lot of times it's, the baby's confused between the breast and the pacifier and then a bottle. So you try to remove one thing out of the equation, which is usually then the pacifier. So this can also be in that mix. But yeah, my daughter accepted it right away. She was so much in love with her noonie. That's what she called it, her noonie. And every time when she sees a picture now, she is almost 4. We stopped using the pacifier this year on New Year's Eve, which then led into her jumping off the bed, crushing her teeth in, and us going to the emergency dentist. So that was the story. Because I said, I really tried to wean it out. So at one point we said, okay, only at night, only in the car, like only on very specific isolated situations. That went better and worse at stages and through the whole journey. And then I have to make this cut. Like, she has to go cold turkey. Like, I just can't do this whole weaning thing anymore. So I said, this is the day, New Year's Eve, boom, away. And I was a little harsh, I have to say. I wasn't doing the whole, the noonie fairy is going to come and going to do a little, because I said, these kids, they don't need rewards and presents for everything. She will get this when the tooth fairy comes. So I said, the noonie is going to go to another baby.
Well, that's exactly the reason we're doing this, is because of the picture I saw. It's actually the picture of someone's pacifier or spane. And it's because there's this group that I'm still part of for some reason. And what they do is they ask anyone who has the exact same pacifier that their child loves, and they ask you to send a picture of your child with that pacifier. So they say, you're giving it up for another baby to have. And then they're able to show that person, their child, to say, look, this baby has your pacifier now. I really like that idea. But I just thought that was really nice. And it was such a great community thing that everyone was able to join in. Yeah, there's also like the pacifier tree. Have you ever heard of that one?
Yes.
You go with a ribbon, you get your child to bring it up, tie it up, and just say, thank you very much. And the fairy can come and collect it, or whoever you want to say, magical or not magical, and just leave it there for maybe another baby or a stork to take with them.
I was just so concerned also, because you hear all these things from outside and then you worry about the teeth. But then, you know what? At one point I just turned back to our family in our situation, and I said, it doesn't bother me so much. It really helped her. She really regulated with it. It was her thing. Like, that's where she found security. That's the one thing that we could always turn to. And I said, you know what? I don't need to remove this tool from her. It doesn't hurt her. At one point I was like, okay, we're going towards school. I really have to now. And I said, we'll deal with all this dental stuff in the future. She does have a lisp. She does have an overbite. Yes, she does have all of that. But we also had 3.5 really nice and calm years with the pacifier.
Wow.
So I want to give that up now. So that's just the approach that we took. I really try to. And then, I set myself the goal many, many times. Oh, this is the time. But then we were traveling. There was this happening. There was always something that was happening. It was never the right time. So that's why I made this harsh cut. I was like, okay, the time is never right. So I just have to do it now. And then we went through some 3 very intense weeks, very, very intense weeks. It did come a little after. So we took the pacifier away. We had this dental accident where she was just like not falling asleep and then doing all this shenanigans, jumping off the bed. And then it was calm for like a couple of weeks. And then after, I'd say 4 weeks, I think she realized, okay, it's gone now. And then we had some very tough weeks with very big tantrums and learning a new skill, learning how to calm herself down, how to get comfort, how to fall back asleep at night. Like these things, it was rough, but as everything in parenthood, it's a phase. It will pass. It did. And now it's so sweet when she looks at pictures of herself. She's really like also falling into this like sentimental voice of like, I remember my noonie. Look, I had my noonie back then. And I was like, yep, you had it. You let it go. And let's focus on something else. And yeah, it's very sweet.
It's something you mentioned there about the lisp as well is like, I think there was also a discussion about people that have to go to the logopedies. What is that called? Speech therapy as well. That can also influence it. And I do believe someone also had mentioned something along the lines of there can be ear infections that can actually cause greater ear infections, like, or make it worse, I think. But yeah, I couldn't find exact research. Our story actually was just like you. There was constant delays. It was at 1 year of age, we were like, okay, we're going to stop it. But then after one, she was going to start daycare, and then she got really sick, and then I got really sick, and it just became this whole battle of a year. Because I lost my voice for like weeks and weeks and weeks repeatedly for many months. It got down to the stage where my husband was actually going away for a weekend. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do this for both of us. I'm going to take it on the chin, and you go away for the weekend. When you come back, she'll probably have not slept for 3 days, but we're going to do this. We're going to do this. And I got books from the library. We discussed about, hey, this pacifier is going to go away. And we just talked about it then. But back then, much like many parent might know, when your child's in bed and the pacifier comes out of their mouth, they're trying to reach around, they can't find it. So you end up putting 5 in their bed. So that's exactly what we had. We had 5. And what I did was we discussed it and we planned it, and I kept mentioning it. So on the Monday night, I sat down with all 5 and I said, do you know what we're going to do? We're going to say goodbye to one of them. Do you want to put it in the bin? And she was like, yeah, sure. She got up, walked over, put it in the bin. Okay, bye. Got back into bed. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 4. And every night we got down one more.
Okay.
And on the Friday night when my husband wasn't there, we had the last one sitting on the table, and she got into bed. We were reading her book, and she turned around, she looked at it, and she went, no more. And I couldn't have been more proud, but I was also terrified of what was going to come. And actually, that was it. She literally just said, no more. And the next day I said, do you still want to throw it out? Because I left it there. And she did. And, I kind of gave her that credit to just say, can she do this on her own? Because if she can't, no worries, I'm going to help her. But I was giving her that time just to kind of work on it. And it worked. And it's not going to work for everyone, but it really worked. And it was a lot later than I anticipated, as I said. It was nearly a year later, actually, than we actually hoped. But we finally got there, because at the end of the day, give yourself a break. Don't do it during transitions or holidays or visitors or work or whatever's going on. So yeah, that was our magical moment, I guess, of how we did it. But oh my God, I'm so glad that we don't have them, because cleaning them. Oh, and also, by the way, for anyone who hasn't reached that stage yet, you might be pregnant. I actually wasn't aware there was age groups associated with pacifiers. I didn't know there was like a 0 to 3 months, 3 to 6, 6 to 12, 12 plus, 18 plus. I was not aware of that. Never mind different shapes.
We always stick with the smallest one.
Well, I just grew up like when she was 12 months, I was like, okay, I get her the 12-month sign, because I just thought, okay, I got to adjust to it and see what her reaction was when I give her a new one. But I wasn't really aware of that. And also the different shapes. We were very lucky. She took the first pacifier and we just stuck with that brand.
Same here.
I know many moms, like you just said, that they would go through 3, 4, 5 different kinds and nothing really was sticking, and that could be down to anything. But it's a journey. I can definitely say it's a journey, because you need to stop it. You then have to plan it out as the parent. You need to figure out, how can I help my child through this process? And this is going to be one of many journeys you're going to be on. And it's also the biggest journey, which is the emotional regulation of how to help them soothe themselves and to regulate, but do what's best for you.
And it affects both sides, because it's regulation for your child, but also it's an easy tool for you. And so you also need to learn then, okay, how am I going to deal with this situation? Like, we were flying a lot. So we were on planes and like in public spaces. So I was like, all right, here's the noonie. She's going to be relaxed. It's going to be fine. And then doing this whole thing without the pacifier, doing a flight, going into the car, like doing all these things where, it was tough, but I just knew we can do this together, and we can both learn it, and we can just be there for each other. And that's what we did. And then it eventually worked. And it's a journey, and don't be so hard on yourself. Try really to, as with everything in parenting, if you want to do some research and reading, do it, but also just focus on you, focus on your child, and pick the moment that's just right for you. And also, you don't know, I am speaking with a child that doesn't have any neurodivergence, doesn't have any other challenges. So this is also, keep that in mind. If your child does have these topics on their plate, or if you have them on your plate, then this is also another thing that you have to consider. And don't be harsh on yourself, and go the route that fits you.
I think, like I know some parents don't use pacifiers, but instead they'd use like a cuddly toy that was meant to be bitten or eaten, as it were. And so that was the other way that they would use it, because then obviously that child can always have that cuddly toy with them at all times as they grow up. And that would also lead to help children with more neurodivergent kind of options, that there could be a more sensory element there. It's definitely a journey, I think. I'm really glad we can actually kind of talk about it, because I really didn't know who to reach out to. I did speak to a speech therapist, and we did ask the pediatric dentist as well ourselves. But at the end of the day, everyone's journey is going to be different. It's just going to be down to maybe even your culture might have a different way to get rid of it, how to pass it on. But if you guys have any tips or tricks, do send a little message on the Instagram, share your tips, your tricks, how you did it, how you plan on doing it. If you plan not to use pacifiers, but then end up doing it like we did, whatever it might be. I mean, it's a great way to help everyone, manage the process of this whole stopping the pacifier.
Yeah. And also when you remove the reason I initially even introduced it was I never had one. All my siblings didn't have one except my brother, who's the oldest, and he was the only one who had one. And then my mom said, "Oh, I'm not doing this again," because she was getting up every night because he kept losing it. So first I bought a little thing to clip it on. And then my thought was, well, if I take the pacifier away at one point, it's away. But the hands, because there are children who suck on their fingers and their hands, which I did as a child, and all my other siblings did. And I said, well, you can't take the hand away, right? So I don't even want to introduce this habit. So luckily also my daughter then didn't pick up on sucking her thumb or sucking other fingers, which can then also happen if you really take it away at a point where the child is absolutely not ready and there's no other coping mechanisms inside and in place. Then this is then another challenge. And then so you need to navigate, what am I dealing with the pacifier or with the hand, or like how can we really wean it off and introduce a stable and secure other mechanism for self-regulation?
And bringing in another conversation we had, which is about bringing our children to sleep. My mechanism was literally I would hold my child's hand, because it was a case of, if that's what she needs, that's what I'll give her, because I really needed her off the pacifier. But that's what we transitioned to. And even then I was still doing it before she had it, but she still had it afterwards, because exactly as you say, it's about, teaching them to give them a bit more peace and regulation within themselves. And so if that's what it took, that's what I was prepared to take, because I'd rather stop the pacifier and eliminate any chances of any oral dental issues or any speech therapy issues. And it was just a case of, okay, I'm just going to do this. And exactly like you say as well, it was at the right time for us. I knew we had not a lot of things happening, not a lot of stimuli, not a lot of events happening. So it was like, okay, this is a good stable time.
Good. I think that was all that we had to bring to the table, our personal stories about the pacifier. If you want to share your story, your tips and tricks, please don't hesitate to reach out to us on Instagram. You can find us under Damn Parenting Podcast. If you want to make sure that you don't miss out on any episode that we're putting out, please subscribe, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Share and like this episode. Share it with all your friends, with the community. If you're in groups, WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups, whatever other groups, and you see questions popping up, and we know that we have an episode for that topic, don't hesitate and share that episode with the other parents so they can all get the knowledge that we put out there. I guess that's it for now, and we will hear you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.